Am I audible? Okay, thank you. Okay, so presenting after Shashi, he's already stolen all the thunder and he came with some very strong points, but that's how he's made, okay? So I hope you'll find something useful in my presentation. Just a little qualifier here that what I'm going to be speaking to you today, this is on digital news alone, okay? So that's a topic which I have confined myself to. So start with some some quick points. So when you ask consumers that what are their current sources of news, a very small data point that we just, we'd gathered. So here, if you see at a stated level, right, a large chunk of consumers say that, digital appears fairly strong here. Now, one thing which is important is that this audience is really online audience, right? We are speaking to online audience here. The second one, so news, we know that in a digital avatar, it can be consumed via various means, right? So if you look at, can I have a hand mic, please? So if you look at here, so news can be consumed via the social networking sites. That's not a surprise. It's consumed via video streaming. We heard that, a lot of news consumption actually happens via YouTube. Then, of course, there are news apps and news websites, right, where news is consumed. Now, what this chart really gives you is that on an average, Indian audiences are spending about 4 hours on a smartphone. And this is how their share of time on various activities is broken up. And somewhere in each of those activities, you have news sitting in there. So there are various ways in which digital news is consumed. Okay? And therefore, what becomes extremely important is that, everywhere where news is getting consumed should be measured, right? Because only when it is measured via all touch points can then it really be monetized appropriately. So whether you look at news apps, news websites, or the YouTube channels, etc., everywhere it should be measured. Now, just one little caveat here, because we are a measurement company, so we have to be very clear about what we are measuring and what we are not measuring at this point of time, right? So, for example, currently, we are not measuring what is being consumed through aggregators, right? It's not that we don't want to measure. Currently, that capability is not unlocked at this point of time on a digital thing, right? If you look at news consumed through search engines, so when I open my Google page, correct, and when I see, when I'm on my Google search and suddenly there's a news item which appears there, so that's not something which is getting measured here. And then news which is consumed through social media apps, that's not measured. So, but directly websites, apps, YouTube channels, all of that is measured, okay? So if you just look at what is the reach of Hindi or English news, right? It's not that we do not measure other languages. Of course, we measure other languages. But just for the purpose of this, I thought I'll just cull out some stuff from Hindi and English news. So if you just look at reach of this, and this is monthly reach, which is average across those months, it's about 30%, right? That's what we're really seeing here. Expectedly, if you look at Hindi, it's about double of English. So that's what we are seeing. And if you look at the target group here, we're really talking about 1 lakh plus NCCS ABC, all audiences who are on Android smartphones. So that's the TG that we have. The next one really, if we have to just compare, how does video news stack up versus text news, correct? Because very particular, because as Shashi mentioned that this is future of news, but print is not included by Srikanth here, right? But here, because the focus was on video news, I thought that it would be good to see that how does video news really stack up versus text news, correct? And this I thought was a very interesting phenomena, snippet. So what we found was that if you look at Hindi is really double in case of video. So video is double of text. But if you look at English, right? English text is double of English video, right? So which we felt was an interesting snippet which was coming out of this. Okay. Now this is not a ranking basis views. Right? I know that Shashi spoke about that, you are competing and do not go by ranking alone, but it's good to see a hierarchy, sometimes. So if you just look at reach basis audiences, okay, reach is always basis audiences, but I'm saying this is not basis page views or anything, or this is not basis video views. We're actually counting people. So if you just look at the ranking basis audiences, and this is so in this particular target group, if you look at the period of August to October, this is the kind of hierarchy that we got for Hindi video news channels, okay? Let's take a look at it for English. This is the hierarchy which really emerged for English video news channels. This is all fine, but what about monetizing the inventory? Because that really is the moot question, correct? That there is so much inventory which is available. You know, how do we really monetize the inventory? Now, when we talk about monetization, I thought there was one good number to look at, right? That what is the kind of return on investment which digital is garnering, say, vis-a-vis a TV or vis-a-vis, other media. Now, this is a learning that we have, and we created basis all the work on ROI measurement that we've done for FMCG brands, okay? So if you just look at this learning, what we saw was that the ROIs on digital were far stronger. This is all digital. This is not digital news alone, okay? So this is all digital. So ROI on digital were far stronger when we benchmark them with TV. I often hear this question that, digital works for smaller brands, right? Do you hear that question? We hear smaller brand, new launches, digital will work well. Right? So we also cut the data by brand sizes. When we cut the data by brand sizes, again we saw that irrespective of brand size, the kind of ROI which emerged on digital was a fairly strong ROI. So digital ROIs are strong, guys. This is not to say that one medium is less important than the other, right? Because every medium has got a role to play, correct? But having said that, when you're looking at ROIs, this is what is the picture. The second one. This is really an interesting chart, and I absolutely love this chart. So what we did was that we've measured a lot of digital ads, right? And when I say that we've measured digital ads, what do I mean? What I essentially mean is that when your digital ad is appearing on any platform, what is the kind of reach it is garnering, okay? What is the kind of frequency it is garnering? Okay, so we've done all of that measurement. So we measured about 6,000 digital ads, and we wanted to see that what is the share of, if you just look at share of campaigns, how are various properties really faring? And I think this should be a good indication, correct? And if you just look at our measurement, then we really we run this measurement across a spectrum of clients, okay? A spectrum of clients. And I know that we do not measure the whole world, right? But I think we measure a fairly good chunk. So if you look at that, just look at the top. 78% of the campaigns are really coming on from video platforms, okay? VOD platforms, correct? If you look at aggregators where you've got MediaMath, Trade Desk, InMobi, etc., all of them sitting in there, they're garnering 23% of share of campaigns, correct? You've got social 19%. In fact, I was a little surprised to see social at 19% because honestly, I was thinking that, social is going to be higher, correct? News, really low there, just a 1% thing, okay? Now, having said this, so while the share of campaigns was lower, right, just a 1% share of campaigns, when we actually saw the impressions, because you can also look, because you can have fewer campaigns, but you can burn a large number of impressions, correct? So if you look at impressions, what we saw was that whatever little campaigns that we measure of news, right, the campaign sizes were fairly big, correct? But the point is that the number of campaigns was far fewer. So if for VOD, on an average, a digital campaign is about 21 million impressions, in case of news, we saw that, the campaign size was about 51 million impressions, okay? A little bit of scatter plot here just to show that as you pump in more impressions, there is enough headroom for growth. And this is a message that we give to all advertisers. So we are meeting advertisers all the time, and this is one message that we give that, listen, you've not reached at a level where you're saturating, in terms of, because the question is, how much do I spend on digital? How big should be my campaign, right? So here you can see very clearly that there is ample headroom for growth. Now, our experience very clearly is that, whatever is measured and it is measured robustly, it is measured well, and it is socialized meaningfully to the ecosystem, that is something which really grows. Okay? So what is it that advertisers and planners really look at? And I think, I won't talk about planners because I think this is a very learned audience here, but I'll talk a little bit about advertisers. Because if you look at advertisers, when it is, and especially when they're evaluating, right, and the kind of questions which they ask us for digital, so, what is the target group fit with my platform? I've got young audiences, I've got old audiences, I've got this kind of audiences, how good is the target group fit? That's point number one. what is the potential ROI? The ROI question with advertisers is very, very hot, guys. Okay? Any money which they are spending, and I would say that post-COVID, this question has only got accentuated. Okay? The third one, is the environment brand safe? They're really serious about it. Okay? And they're asking this question that, I'm putting it, you're telling me to put my monies on this site. Is this going to be a brand safe environment? Okay. What about bots, non-human traffic? They're very sensitive to that, right? Because they're saying that if you're spending, I want to make sure that my content is really being viewed by a human, okay? And does the platform enable measurement, okay? And I can talk to you about large advertisers, okay, who stopped certain publishers because they were not enabling measurement. And this phenomena went on for a couple of years. So they're dead serious about it. This is my point of view, very clearly, and I'm talking about digital news here, right? I believe that the state of measurement, in case of digital news, it really needs to be strengthened, okay? It is not of the order where it should be. And it's not small by any means is what I would say. We've got n number of publishers, we've got some large publishers, we've got fairly evolved publishers, but if you look at the state of measurement, right, I have no qualms in saying that the state of measurement is very, very, it's suboptimum. There is lag in reporting. There is a concern on volumes. You talk to A, you talk to B, somebody's challenging volumes, somebody's challenging audiences. Depending on the topics and depending on the themes, you keep on saying number one here and number one there. It doesn't work like that, guys. We need to have consistent measurement, right, where you get an industry view. There's inadequate information on audience profile. And ROI efficacy, nobody's aware of, okay? And the result, therefore, is that we continue to see that the big two are really garnering a chunk of revenues. Some news publishers have taken lead on measurement, okay? So I was really wondering, do I put this chart, do I not put this chart? Then I said, no, Srikanth has given me a forum. Let me put this chart. Because my aim really is that I want this industry to grow. Right? I want this industry to monetize their inventory more strongly, correct? And I thought that I should really call out these guys. So these are the guys who have taken some lead in measurement. I'm not saying that everybody's getting measured at all points of time, but here I'm at a stage where I say that, okay, if people have taken some lead in measurement, it is good, right? So these are the guys who've taken some lead in measurement. This is a very simple chart. And there are a number of publishers who call me and who say that, we want to do an ad effectiveness study. I said, what is the ad effectiveness study? Oh, no, there's this campaign appearing. We just want to know that has the brand consideration gone up and has something gone up. I said, you do an ad effectiveness study, but this is not going to be, this will help you for this particular campaign, but this is not something which is going to be taking you far, right? Because if you're not doing a reach measurement, if you're not doing a proper reach measurement, just doing this is not going to be sufficing. Right? Another interesting chart before I close. So this was actually conducted by a publisher, okay? They allowed me to use this chart with permission, right? So the question here was that, which of the news sources do you trust most for news, right? It is a ranking question. Which of the news sources do you trust most for news? And I really like this chart, right? So I'll not comment on print. It's right up there, and there are no surprises there, right? But if you look at where is our digital video news, which is the third bar from my left, right? If you look at there, it is a 20%. So, right, 1 in 5 are saying that, for me, this is the number one source. It's not bad. You just look at news on social media out there. You look at news on aggregators there, correct? And I would say that, news channels on television by 22%. So this is faring actually quite strongly, guys. Okay, I come to my last chart. So what narrative should the digital video news be driving, right? Very clearly. I would say that we should reinforce our positives in an unabashed manner, correct? So I'm not a media planner, and Shashi's covered it very, very well as an industry leader in terms of CPMs and all of that, right? But in terms of when we are pitching to an advertiser, what is the narrative that we should be driving? We are a fast-growing reach medium, right? We have some great audience which is coming on our platform. I think the quality of audiences which come on news platform is an evolved audience. We do have a good ability to offer contextual targeting, right? There's less fragmentation. If you just look at average number of news apps or average number of news channels, which is being consumed on for digital video news, it's not a clutter like 5 or 6 there, right? It is about 2. So it's a good place to be in. It's a strong micro-targeting power. It enables innovative formats, and it's attractive inventory pricing. Yeah, I mean, of course, inventory pricing should be better, but at this point of time, I would say from an advertiser standpoint, it's an attractive inventory pricing. So pump money here on the news platform. And the most important thing that I would say is that it has to be enabled through the right measurement, where an advertiser should be able to get the view of the entire industry. Thank you very much, Srikanth, for hosting this conference. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.